Hello, everybody. My name is Marco Tedesco. I'm a scientist at Lamont-Doherty at the Observatory of the Columbia University. And I study most of my time melting of the Greenland and Antarctica ice sheets, the economic impact of climate change on our cities, but also the impact of microplastics on our oceans. And we were going to present you a project that we started about a year ago, and we also need your help. I'm going to start with an overview presentation about microplastics and plastics, and Laurel here, she's going to follow up with the project. So, okay. So, plastic pollution, 400 billion stars in our galaxy. It's a big number. How much plastic, of course, now I was spoiled because I showed you the next slide, but how much plastic do you think there is on our planet? It's more or less than the stars of our Milky Way. There's more, and it's actually 13 times more the stars in our galaxy. Now, if you like Shakespeare, now you can probably rephrase, there are more things on Earth and the sky than your philosophy could ever imagine. There are more pieces of plastics on our planet than your philosophy could imagine. We are really changing the face of the planet, the way we think. Now, one point that it has to be made very clear is all plastic ever made is still around. There's no way that it's going anywhere. It's still on our planet. It's somewhere. And this is also very interesting because while I was putting together this talk, I just realized that this is a great also comparison with the CO2 and the problem we have with climate change. Even if we stop producing, emitting CO2 now, everything that is in the atmosphere is still going to have a huge impact on our planet. So we need to capture CO2. Same with plastic. Even if we stop producing plastic now, everything that's around is still going to have an impact on our life. It has to be removed. It has to be captured. And this is a very important point. And I think this is also a point that creates a commonality between the climate change impact and, of course, the plastic, which is an environmental issue as well. What are microplastics, really? Now, there's a range of sizes of microplastics. They go from about 1 micron, just to put it bluntly, it's basically the thickness of your blood cells, the red blood cells, so very tiny, to about 5 millimeters, the thickness of a pencil. There is other kind of plastics, but these plastics are what we're focusing on, and they basically can be divided into primary and secondary. Primary microplastics are the ones that are tiny plastics at their source. In this case, of microbeads, nurdles, which are basically used for producing larger plastics, and microfibers. We heard before, of course, in the fashion, it's a big issue, the production of microfibers. Then you have the secondary microplastics, which is basically the ones that are created by the decomposition, either mechanical breaking down or the sun is breaking down the particles and making it smaller and smaller. And microfoam. These particles also are breaking down, and they continue to pollute our planet. How much microplastic and where are the sources? 35% roughly of microplastics comes from synthetic textile, basically the clothes we're wearing. Car tires are a big source, and they're getting bigger and bigger. And then you have city dust and also personal care products. It's actually smaller than before. One thing that we have to remember is it's everywhere. It's in the soil, it's in the atmosphere, it's in the ocean, and we really need to understand how it moves around, how it's distributed, what are the sources, and where do they go. As of now, we really have very little knowledge about these issues. So we cannot really even implement policies. We cannot suggest or indicate to politicians what to do and how to do it, because we have no clue how things are moving, at least not at the level that we really need to. And this is important because we actually eat or drink a total of 5 grams of microplastics per week. It's the equivalent of having basically a credit card swollen every week. So that's how much we're eating now on average. And of course, it depends where you live, you might eat more or less. And so the reason why we started this project, and I'm going to leave Laurel to talk about it, is to understand better the distribution, the impact, and of course, snow is a big source of our drinking water, and that's where we want to come in.
Yeah. Thank you. So at Lamont-Doherty Earth Observatory, I'm an educator, and we, as Marco said, we don't know very much about how microplastic is being transported. There is some limited research, but specifically microplastic that's deposited by snow, there is almost no research on that. So with the PlastiX-Snow Community Science Project, we are hoping to use crowdsourcing data from people all over the country to send us samples so we can have a better understanding of how this microplastic is moving, especially in the winter times. So this is a three-tiered goal project. One, of course, is to start researching in this groundbreaking field to have a better understanding of microplastics disseminated by snow. The second is to teach the public about the dangers of microplastics and what they can do as environmental stewards to limit their consumption of single-use plastics. And three is to engage community, students, and educators in real research to increase scientific literacy. So, as a citizen scientist of this project, you will be able to collect snow in your own backyard with kits that we'll provide you for free. You will have the ability to isolate the microplastics from the snowmelt and for yourself, in the comfort of your home, observe, count, quantify, take pictures, and send all that data back to us at Lamont. Of course, some of the methods that you'd be using in your home are going to be different than the methods that we have at the lab, so we'll also have you send snow melt samples to us where we can analyze using state-of-the-art equipment. And then we are going to make all of this data open source on our website as another form of communicating this science to everyone. This project is really going to ramp up next year, so winter 2020, 2021. We look forward to having all of you help us. If you're interested, you can go to our PlastiX-Snow website for more information about that. However, we did get some preliminary results from snow from Aspen, and what we found was staggering. We found hundreds of microplastics in subsamples of the snowmelt that they sent us, of all four major types, one being microfibers, as Marco said, coming from synthetic textiles. So if you can see that squiggly little line that's fluorescing, that is an example of a microfiber. We also found microbeads. You can see that perfect green circle that's fluorescing is an example of a microbead. The differences between the fluorescing is dependent on the plastic polymers that were used to create that product. Microfragments, all of these orange kind of irregular bits, are broken up pieces of larger macroplastics, and microfilms, which would be broken down from plastic bags. We were really surprised to find this. Of course, this is preliminary, but we look forward to doing more research on this with your help, of course. But in the meantime, we're calling you to action. Everyone here, everyone who's watching today, we need your help. First, we need to stop using single-use plastics, and we really need to stop releasing it in the environment. Thank you. So that means reusable bags, water bottles, bringing your own metal straws. And if anything, it's going to spark conversations with you and the people around you, your friends and family, about why you're doing these things, which is extremely important. We also, if you do have synthetics, clothes, which I know a lot of us do, to ensure that you're washing them in mesh bags, so we're preventing those microfibers from entering our wastewater treatment plants that won't be able to filter it out. And finally, we vote every time we make a purchase. So making sure that you are supporting companies that you truly believe in. Anything that is sustainable, using recycled textiles, these are the companies that we want to support moving forward. We also want to remove what's already in our environment. In terms of microplastics, that's extremely challenging. We don't necessarily have the capacity to do that yet, but we have this next generation of thinkers that are going to come up with innovative ideas to use engineering techniques to catch these microplastics. And so we're trying to support the youth in that effort. In terms of community efforts, this is a great opportunity for grassroots, strengthening your community, go out there and clean up the plastics that you can in your communities. And last, education. So teaching your family and friends what you learned today is one of the most important things. This is a global problem. We're not going to be able to solve it with just us. We need everyone on board. So teaching everyone that what you learned today, not just in this session, but every one of these incredible speakers, will make a huge impact. Thank you.